Boy, ladies and gentlemen, our guest is so heartless after what he did last weekend. DBW's return at Unfinished Business. Right now, he's not ready to show his face because, boy, his actions most certainly spoke louder than any words he'll have here tonight. He'll talk about what he did to Jacob Cassidy. He'll also talk about why he said this is going to end. It's going to end soon. And he was referring to chaos conspiracy. He'll most certainly explain that. He'll talk about now being a part of the penitentiary match for the World Extreme Championship, where, last year, when our guest would come on show after show here on Sportswire Radio throughout last season in DBW, we would talk about, maybe some would even say, it was the failures tour for our guest. But it seems like this year is the start of the comeback tour, or maybe should I call it the revenge tour? And that revenge tour started with Jacob Cassidy. But who will it end with? We're going to find out. We're also going to talk about just some of those participants in that penitentiary match, including the current World Extreme Champion and another man who maybe was at the center of our guest and, well, that slow road down to the bottom, down to where it all started last year in the failures tour. And then I'll most certainly bring up for our guest, how about that man that had plenty to say last week, who some would say is almost a Nostradamus, some who also would say, especially here on this platform, that our guest was eventually going to be where he was today because, well, he opened his eyes. We'll talk about Silas Walker. We'll most certainly get into him in a little while. And we'll even talk about a headline who might potentially qualify in that penitentiary match. But first, he'll have to get past a Bitcoin billionaire. But usually our guest is here and he's in a certain mood, but he's in such a mood tonight, he's not even showing his face yet until I give him that introduction in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that he and DBW most certainly helped build, Sportswire Radio, to the tune of nearly 1,500 subscribers. And most certainly because I see some people now starting to arrive in the chat, people starting to tune in, and I know our guest is already upset, but he's going to explain everything what he did at Unfinished Business now. But in the words of Def Leppard frontman Joe Elliott, let's get rocked, baby. Some would say we're closing the weekend out. I like to think we're actually starting the weekend off here because our guest, he may be a heartless sheriff, but I can assure you there will be no chaos conspiracy, what he'll have to say. But I'll most certainly be asking, but at what cost did our guest do what he did to Jacob Cassidy last weekend? But it is now time to start the show in style on Sportswire Radio, the number one global radio station where all music and wrestling matters. So with without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one global sports show. A man that is certainly, in his words, about to end chaos conspiracy. a heartless sheriff who's now qualified for the DBW Penitentiary match for the World Extreme Championship at Total Domination X. His name is simply put the Heartless Chef Colten, my friend, how are we doing? Oh, oh my God! Did he just do what he did? He's got the handcuffs! He's got the handcuffs again! He's got the shirt! Will he handcuff us here tonight? Will Colten Lee jump out of the screen and all of a sudden decide to handcuff me so I can't ask him all those questions? Well, I don't know. Maybe we should go. Maybe we should say we're out of time here on Sportswire Radio and forget about tonight's show because this is Colten Lee unlike no other. This is not like the Colten Lee we've seen in the past. Oh my God. Maybe we should end the show here tonight. Forget about this. Maybe Mr. Judgment can handle you in the Judgment Confessionals. He's got to see you in the penitentiary already. But maybe we should just go. Maybe we're out of time here, sir, because clearly you are here for no fun and games. This is definitely not like Welcome to the Jungle when Axl Rose said, "Welcome to the jungle, ain't no fun and games." Well, certainly because this is not that. And I mean, listen, we can go. If you I know you want to right now lunge out of that screen and handcuff me to that microphone, so I don't ask you those questions. But we can certainly go. We could be out of time. It was great to see you.
What you got to ask me?
What do I got to ask you? Well, where should we begin for those that are listening and watching here in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that you and, well, I'm certainly not going to say Jacob Cassidy and Robert Pearson most certainly helped build Sportswire Radio, but I'll say DBW. Colten Lee, the Heartless Sheriff. At what cost did you do what you did to Jacob Cassidy, and at what cost?
What cost?
At what cost, sir?
There was no cost.
There wasn't?
I only showed him what the true nature of all of last year was for me. He only got to experience a little bit of it, though. He had to get saved.
But we didn't know who was going to save him. There was nobody in the back that had been in DBW the last several months saved him.
No one was going to come out. No one would have came out and saved him.
Well, maybe they didn't.
Anyone in that locker room is scared of what has been unleashed in DBW now. They wanted the monster for so long. What happens when that monster is uncontrollable?
Well, we're going to play that match. We're going to show the footage. I shouldn't show this footage, but we're going to show that footage because we want to show what you did. Because certainly the DBW audience, the fans, everybody in the back was just saying, it's too far. This was too far. At what cost? Jacob Cassidy was lifeless. You literally could have ended his life. We may be talking, instead of having you here tonight, we could literally be talking to you from a penitentiary cell somewhere because of what you did to Jacob Cassidy. I mean, he was lifeless, and he would probably have an obituary right now that we would be reading off if somebody in the name of Robert Pearson didn't stop you, sir.
Don't worry, he'll get what's coming to him very soon.
Oh, we're gonna get to him. I have a lot to say about Robert Pearson because Robert Pearson, just so you know, he messaged me not too long ago, and I was shocked just as much as you were about the fact that Robert Pearson messaged me, just like you were just as shocked at how he ran out and tried to save his tag team partner and former best friend and one half of those DBW tag team champions once upon a time, a part of Chaos Conspiracy. So I know you certainly felt the same way. But I mean, those handcuffs are there for a reason. I mean, I would have to imagine you're bringing them with you for your opponents in that penitentiary match for that World Extreme Championship Total Domination X.
If I don't lock anyone up first, they might just be used on someone's head.
Well, you know what? There are some heads that could fit. I mean, I would say that you potentially, with the way those look, I mean,
Oh, no. Not the way you think.
what do you mean? Oh my God! Listen, this is not this. You know what? You were here 4 months ago, and you did forewarn us about what's to come. But I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of DBW stars come on here over the past 2 years. The Heartless Sheriff Colten Lee, but this is like no other I've seen, and certainly like no other appearance from you. I mean, the mood you're in. I mean, I only wonder what this conversation is going to be like here over the next hour or so. I mean, especially the DBW fans, they certainly were left shaking their heads, and obviously you have a lot on your mind here. I did say when we opened the show to introduce you, sir, that last year was the Failures Tour, but this year seems like you might want to call it the Revenge Tour, and the Revenge Tour, well, it opened up with one of your former cohorts in Chaos Conspiracy, Jacob Cassidy. Do you feel the same way that this year is the Revenge Tour?
Is it the Revenge Tour or is it the Pain and Suffering Tour?
Well, revenge can mean pain and suffering. It could be both. I mean, you tell me.
To quote someone, pain and suffering is what drives a man to do whatever he needs to survive. Yet you listen to everyone else and you fail. Listen to what you desire and you'll succeed in life.
But you kind of didn't do that last year until now.
As much as I hate him so much.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
I have to thank him. Silas Walker.
We're live. Listen, we're going to make sure he hears that. You are thanking the DBW general manager, the global champion, the man that was here. As a matter of fact, he was here when he first started that reign as global champion, and he forewarned this was going to happen. I said last week that, well, more or less, he was like the Nostradamus of DBW, and maybe the Nostradamus of the wrestling world, and yet, finally, you're thanking Silas Walker.
Thank you, Silas Walker. You, at World War II, finally unleashed what was hidden so far down, deep down, that I didn't want to unleash it on anyone. For 3 years, I've had that hidden away. Since I started my career, I had that hidden away. I didn't want to unleash that on anyone. Well, we sit here today. And I've nearly ended a man's career twice. Basically, publicly executed this man live on camera
That was
multiple
we're gonna
times.
show that. Yeah, you did that nearly.
And had the fans finally chanting something for the longest time that every person loves to hear. You're an asshole.
And you wanted that? You wanted them to chant that? You wanted them to say that to you? I mean, last year you always talked about the fans. You always talked about doing things the right way, but now you've changed your tune. You changed your tune at what cost? And we're going to show that public execution of that man you nearly decapitated in Jacob Cassidy. One of the most heinous things I've seen in my career. I mean, you've come here tonight
You
with handcuffs already.
you have seen you saw what I did to Jacob Cassidy. That's
I
only the
most certainly
beginning.
did. I watched it twice. I don't know why I did. It wasn't because I was a sucker for what you did. It was almost to almost understand why you did what you did. Why you, as the heartless sheriff, nearly execute. You even said the words, "You'll be the judge, jury, and the executioner." And boy, you were all that and some. I mean,
You
yes,
see what's in my hands.
I do. I see that. Yes.
You know what this is.
Well, it's
This
not
is
what
the
you thought.
last this is the last remnants of what was my past. I finally shredded that last resistance of what this was. And now Colton is finally free to do what he wants, when he wants, with no repercussions coming for it.
Oh my good. And you were in the match, and we're going to talk about that in a little while. You were in a match that basically, well, it's designed for you. Oh my God. Listen, you know what? I see Aaron Blaze here. I had him here Friday, and maybe Aaron Blaze shouldn't win this match against Chase Wakefield because look at what the Heartless Sheriff Colton Lee is doing tonight. Look at, without even saying much so far, look at what this man is going to show the world. Boy, Mr. Judgment, some would say he's responsible for the failures tour of Colton Lee. Boy, maybe he should just handle you. Maybe he should just do Judgment Confessionals on Wednesday, and he should just handle it. Maybe I'll pass the baton to him. He'll come on Sportswire, interview you, or you'll go on his show Wednesday night, 9 o'clock. And listen, Sammy, nothing? He might be. He might have nothing after what you do to him coming up here at Total Domination X. But I think it's time to show that footage because I don't know what kind of mood you're in here. I want to say hello to Zilla. Zilla's here. My buddy Anthony Finkel, who said the Joe Hendry reference on a different show I was on. But no, there's no Joe Hendry references here tonight. We've got a heartless sheriff who, listen, I have seen a lot. I had Pitbull Gary Wolf on here, and he didn't even do what you've done here. I mean, we just had Rhino on right after you were here. Rhino came on the week you were here, if I'm not mistaken. And he just competed for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And he didn't even have the handcuffs. But yet you have it. Listen, I don't even know what's ahead here over the next hour. And I thought Yoshimatsu Matsuda, the Oyabun, the leader of the syndicate, Matsuda clan, was certainly one handful last night. You? Who knows? The only thing I can say is we got to get to the footage here because we got DBW talk to get to here. And I got to certainly do it because we have to talk about what we saw between Jacob Cassidy and Colton Lee, two men that were brothers side by side in Chaos Conspiracy. We thought they were family. We thought that those two men would have been together forever, and it certainly wasn't the case. And Colton Lee, he's not, listen, we're not in Tex country anymore. He's a heartless sheriff, and we're going to show that footage here very shortly. And I have it synced up now because now we are on the DBW YouTube page here. And there you go. So we've got it. We're getting ready for it. It's match time. And boy, Colton Lee, I am sure you're either really mad we're going to see this or you're really excited to see it once again live here. But tell me, although I shouldn't ask you this question, but I kind of have to, what is going through your mind here as you're walking through the curtain to come in to that ring and with those handcuffs in your mouth and looking right at your former brother in Chaos Conspiracy, Jacob Cassidy?
What am I going through? I'm making him fester. I'm making him just build that anger. Because he wants to get at me so bad for what I did at Mary Mayhem. But the more I make him wait, the easier it's going to make for me to beat him. Anger is the biggest weakness in any opponent.
Anger.
You use it to your advantage.
But can you blame him? I mean, certainly what you've put him through, and he had 4 months to think about that. 4+ months to think about that. I mean, couldn't you have sympathized or not even had an issue with what he was going through if you were in his shoes? You've been in his shoes before.
I have no sympathy anymore. I lost my sympathy when I lost my championship opportunity at World War. I have no sympathy for anything that I do in that ring anymore. I don't have sympathy for the opponents. I don't have sympathy for the fans. I don't have sympathy for anything.
Well, yeah, you definitely don't have any sympathy. I could certainly see that. You
Anyone that steps into the ring with me are victims now.
Well, he's the first victim of this revenge tour, and it started last year, and it's continuing here right through the road of Total Domination X. But, interesting that a very methodical start. It reminds me of my guest a few days ago, Tyson Spade of NEW. He's supposed to be the deranged Tyson Spade, and he got off to a methodical start like you did, a little different in terms of what he brings to the ring, but you were just pacing around, coming out slowly to the ring, and almost trying to wear down Jacob Cassidy because with your sheer size and strength that you're going to decapitate this man here, huh?
Yes.
And that was just, look at what you just did there. Look at the sheer strength, the sheer force of the heartless Sheriff Colton Lee. Yeah, that's definitely heartless to say the least.
That was heartless?
Yeah.
Watch this.
Well, that was definitely one that you're going to see a reel, I'm sure, that quite a bit. But, I mean, just almost lifted him up like nothing. It was like a sack of potatoes. It was almost just, I mean, I don't even know, this is just almost, you are a monster. This is just, it's cruel what you're doing to Jacob Cassidy. I mean, certainly the fans there of DBW, and by the way, sellout crowd here in DBW. Yeah, even the NEW undisputed champion, Be Insane, is saying it's heartless. From one monster to another. I mean, this is cruel what you're doing to this man. I mean, this is a man you used to stand side by side to, Colton Lee.
Oh.
That felt like the train coming down the tracks. That literally felt like the train.
It felt so good to do to someone.
It did?
It felt so good to do.
Why? Why did it feel so good to do what you've done
I
again?
want people to feel my pain and suffering from all of last year. But that just felt amazing to
I
just
mean,
throw him
literally,
out of the ring.
I'm surprised he was able to get up after you. I mean, think about where you were at that point, and look at how far he went. You launched him. You launched him. I mean, Aaron Blaze
Mm-hmm.
or Chase Wakefield, I wouldn't want to show up to this penitentiary match. If I'm them, I'm just telling them, you know what? Take the rest of the night off with pay when that match happens. Maybe they should just maybe go somewhere else. Maybe they should do like a promo battle. Maybe they should just go out and maybe do like a WWE 2K game of themselves because I wouldn't want to be in a ring with you after what you just did to Jacob Cassidy. I'm just saying.
I wouldn't either. But
Yeah.
that's their choice if they want to get in the
No,
ring with me.
you want them to do it. Because you want to do what you did to Jacob Cassidy to them. You most certainly want to do
Yeah.
it.
Now, if you see this,
Yeah, yeah.
I will. I can do this to anyone. I have multiple ways to hurt people now.
But I would love to see.
I
Yeah.
have been this whole off season. That whole off season was nothing but studying, training, and just overall domination.
You did
Anything
say
I
that.
do
I
now.
do remember you. You were here. It's been 4 months since you've been here, and I remember you were here. In fact, you were here Martin Luther. In fact, you were here Martin Luther King Day. It's actually 4 months, technically tomorrow. 4 months tomorrow, and you did have a long time to think about last year. You had a long time to think about everything you went through, and clearly you've used this to become a monster and to really launch yourself like you launched Jacob Cassidy into being this heartless sheriff.
Yeah,
But look
I
at what he's trying to do to you, and you still are. It's almost like nothing. He had you in a pretty good submission hole, which most guys would not have been able to fight out of. And look at what you did to it. Look.
let me remind you, I'm not the normal sized man either.
Oh, I'm aware of that. I've known you a while. You've been on here what
And I
8 years
and I
now?
said it on confessionals that those submissions are going to be useless when it comes against me, and that's exactly what happened.
I could see. I could certainly see it. How about that there, that DDT you did to him? I mean, yeah, it almost. You ever watch the Looney Tunes? You ever watch them? That's all, folks.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost. He looks like right now. If anybody's in the chat, Jacob Cassidy reminds me of almost like Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck right now. That's kind of what you're doing. Is Jacob Cassidy a real thing or is he a Looney Tune? I mean, that's what you're basically doing to him. I mean, don't tell me you were motivated by watching the Looney Tunes.
No, no. Honestly, I was watching too many Vader and watching too many Vader clips.
Well, you know what? Stud Bronson said the same thing, and yeah, he launched somebody else in his own right, Savio Vega, and pinned him, and even be insane because, and I know he'll be definitely tuned in Thursday night at 8 o'clock when Mr. Jake Dvorak comes on here, his cohort in the DHC, and even he's saying that this is a damn monster. Yeah, you are a monster, and I mean, just Jacob Cassidy's trying everything. I mean, Jacob Cassidy's a man that's had a lot of success in DBW and EBW and Amplified Wrestling, Enterprise Wrestling, and just nothing's working here. Nothing's working. I mean, he's trying. I mean,
He actually got me here, so
almost kind of, but he kind of did his 619 Rey Mysterio, and he's trying
yeah.
there, and that was kind of clever. Bronco X Factor, whatever you want to call it, Bronco Buster. But how about that? You launched him. Dude. We're not going to be in the penitentiary match together. I'm telling you right now, we're not going to be in the penitentiary match. We're not.
I don't know if anyone wants to be in a penitentiary match now that I've qualified for it.
Well, you got Mr. Judgment. You got Mr. Judgment, and that's going. I can't wait to see you in Judgment again, square off. And you've got Sammy Nothing. I'll get to him later. But
He just hit me with his big move.
And you just look what you did to it. You just went like that.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, this is. I mean, listen. Even Zilla is trying to reason with you. Zilla is saying you're not an a-hole. By the way,
I am.
no. Why? Well, tell the audience. Zilla's saying you're not. Zilla is defending it, and she was there. She watched it last weekend. I saw her in the chat. She was watching Unfinished Business. I mean, tell us why.
This is why.
Well, that was too far. What you were doing to that man, you were stomping on him. That was brutal. That was heinous. That was a heinous.
I put most of my weight right on his back like that.
If this was anywhere else other than places like DBW or NEW, you would be in jail right now, literally in a penitentiary, sir.
Mm-hmm.
You might be facing 20 to life. Oh my God, no! Oh my God! Listen. If I put the volume up, this might be great. Viewer discretion is advised. I mean, Jesus, this man. Look at.
You might want to turn it off. You might want to turn it off for this.
You know what? We'll put the volume up because somebody will like it. Oh my God! Stop!
Come on, guys, get back in the ring. Hardest part of the ring, allegedly.
That was too far. That was too far, Colten Lee.
Was it? Was it too far?
He's lifeless. Just drag him and hit him already. He's finished.
Was it too far? Nah, that wasn't too far.
This man can't do anything. Look at him. He's like I said, a Looney Tune. He's one of those cartoon characters. He looks like.
And you just heard me say right there. I end Chaos Conspiracy.
Well, we're gonna get to that in a few minutes, but I don't know why Jacob Caskey decided to get up here. I really don't know why he did that.
Because he has too much heart. And against the Heartless Sheriff, too much heart puts you down for good.
He was getting ideas right now.
Jury and executioner.
Oh my God! Look at that! Listen, his neck is snapped. Oh my God! That was almost like Rice Krispies treats. Snap, crackle, and pop. I mean, that's what you did to you. Don't even want to show good sportsmanship by just holding your hand up there with the referee. I mean, you could have just went out and left and just had a great night and celebrated. Maybe had a few cold ones, but yet you're going for more. You're going for more, sir. This could have got you 20 to life in most places. You know that.
It could have.
The right thing and just not leave him looking at you because I'm terrified tonight, sir.
It could have. Yes, it could have. And you even see me grab him.
No. Oh my God, he's got those hands. You want to lurch right now, come into the screen and do it to me. I know, trust me. I know you do.
You see the same things that are in my hand there are around my wrist. I'm not afraid to put them on.
Well, you know what? I mean, this he doesn't deserve this. You're handcuffing this poor young man. He's already defeated. Look at him. He's barely breathing. He can barely turn around. He's lucky his neck wasn't snapped in half. He was lucky he didn't turn into Barry Wolf after Barry Wolf broke his neck back in '96. I mean, you were basically trying to turn him into Barry Wolf.
I mean,
Wait a minute! Who is that? I think I know who that is. No! There's not a boom shaker. Shake, rattle, and roll. Oh my God! It's Robert Pearson. I haven't seen him in who knows? It's months, almost a year.
What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing here? Do you work here?
I was gonna ever come back. You thought that was the last time you're ever gonna see me. Chaos doesn't end on your cord, buddy.
Hell yeah! Oh, hell yeah!
I will end it. I will end it. You're not gonna end nothing. You're not ending nothing. End it.
Jacob Cassidy.
Boy, Jacob Cassidy, this man needs medical attention right now. Look at him. He's red right now. I mean, really, I don't know how he's standing on his own. And then there you go. There you go again. Oh my God. We have a lot to say, but before we do it, that was crazy. I mean, certainly, you know what? I mean, listen, maybe Mr. Judgment should handle you on Sportswire or elsewhere going forward, but he'll have to deal with you in the penitentiary match. And even B Insane's looking at this like, wow, you know what? Maybe he's getting ideas. After all, he did defeat a quarter of the TF Crew roster yesterday, or a tenth of it, whatever it was. But that's the sub button for DBW. Go follow DBW, and most certainly get ready for Total Domination X. But there is so much to unpack there, sir. So much to unpack. Robert Pearson, Silas Walker talked about that last weekend on the show. He talked about Robert Pearson. He wasn't quite sure what Robert Pearson was doing. He was the manager. And why do you think Robert Pearson decided to show up to DBW and to save his tag team partner of, being executed or decapitated?
Because the man has a fucking death wish, that's why.
Well, that's true, too. That could be true.
The man has a death wish.
Do that, but we got it in. But go ahead.
The man has a death wish. He could have just let me end Chaos right there and then. Everyone could have went their own separate ways.
But he's got a heart.
But no.
He's got a heart.
He wants to be the hero. He wants to be a hero.
Well,
fine. I'll make sure Chaos ends on my reign. And when I do end it, Jacob is going to be tied in the ropes. Pearson will be in the same position Cassidy was in. And I will end Chaos one fatal blow.
Oh my God, listen, listen, kids, don't try this at home. Viewer discretion is certainly advised if Colten Lee, the Heartless Sheriff, gets his way, because Robert Pearson and Jacob Cassidy, I mean, they could be tied, defenseless, and they could literally be decapitated. Listen, drink that iced tea. It's brisk, baby. It's Lipton brisk, baby. Because I'll tell you what. I mean, Colton Lee, the heart. Oh, you actually do breathe, and you like that iced tea. Oh my God. Oh, look at him. He is a monster. He's a machine. He's a monster. He's alive. Oh my goodness. I mean, Colton Lee. Listen. These two men. I don't even know what's going through their mind if they hear this, but you know what? I mean, that is heartless. I mean, that is the definition of heartless. Tying those two men and just executing me. That stuff they did in the 1700s, the 1600s. They did that stuff. Not today. I mean, that would get you 20 to life. That might even get you the death penalty. That might get you the death penalty for doing those things, sir. Sir, you're not the man I used to know. You're not the man I've known for almost 2 years. There is a killer instinct here. There is no question. There is a killer instinct. And boy, I mean, Robert Pearson, maybe he will regret this. Maybe he's got a death wish. Maybe he does have a death wish after all, sir.
I'm guessing he does at this point.
Apparently, we shouldn't say it, but months ago, I mean, we were all wondering what happened, and I guess, you're going to try to finish the job, it seems, but boy.
I can answer that question for you.
Oh, well, I suppose you're going to, because I'm not going to stop you.
So, I'm going to remind people here, there was a little promo segment on World War II, was there not?
Yes.
About Cassidy trying to find a partner?
Yes.
Well, did anyone actually realize what happened to Pearson at that point?
No! That couldn't have been. Couldn't have been you.
I took Pearson out.
But what? But I thought you and Pearson were tight. for all that time. I thought you and Pearson were buds. No, that couldn't have been. You always had good things to say about.
You saw the dissension at beach break, summer break, whichever one it was. You saw the dissension. Two separate paths
Yeah,
between
that's
Chaos
true.
Conspiracy.
That's true. Now, but that I just thought, you know what? You guys are doing different things. You're doing one thing. They're doing another.
I took it upon myself and decided to take him out quickly before he decided to do anything else that would harm Chaos Conspiracy.
But
I was not going to let him make the first move
so
against
really,
the rest of us.
do you? All right. You know what? There's a lot to unpack here. We're here with the heartless sheriff, Colton Lee. You know, Colton Lee. I should actually bring this up. You're gonna probably say, "Boy, that really makes a lot of sense." But my mother actually, her band that she sings in is called Heartless. So maybe you should be talking to her, not me. You know what? I'm gonna definitely exit stage left. You should be talking to her instead because she has a band named Heartless, and obviously you would get along much better with her than me because obviously, you know, you've had some issues with me in the past. And maybe, you know what, she should be talking to you. Probably, you know, see eye to eye with her on more things. But obviously, you are here for as long as you like. And we're going to certainly talk a lot about what is going on in the world of DBW. And boy, I'm really excited DBW is back, but I am certainly with bated breath in what Colton Lee is going to say here tonight and what he's going to do, more importantly, coming up at Total Domination X, where he is going to be a part of the penitentiary match, which will decide who will walk away with that World Extreme Championship, which is currently held by Sammy Nothing. And if you're here on Sportswire Radio, hit the sub button for us. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Please support our friends in DBW. I cannot stress enough. And by the way, Colton Lee, whether he likes or not, is now a part of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame because last week we awarded DBW officially as a company in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. So maybe that's why Colton Lee's upset because he should have been in the Hall of Fame much earlier. But I digress. Now, you said something interesting about Robert Pearson, right? You said you took out Robert Pearson, and Robert Pearson was out for months, right? So when you think about Chaos Conspiracy, you go back, right? And all the division in the group, all the different things that went on. Silas certainly had plenty to say about Chaos Conspiracy. You now of late have, well, figuratively and literally done a lot with Chaos Conspiracy. Do you feel that the fall or the demise of Chaos Conspiracy lays at the feet of one Robert Pearson?
I say it lays at the feet of Jacob Cassidy at this point.
But Cassidy, you nearly killed, but Pearson was the one you took out for a reason. So couldn't you have said that Pearson was obviously somebody that you obviously felt strongly against? And maybe he was the one. And we know that when Silas was doing what he was doing and what led to your attack of Pearson, Pearson was kind of just, he never said anything. We don't know what's on his mind. In fact, Silas Walker brought that up last week on Sportswire Radio. We don't know what Robert Pearson thinks of what happened with Chaos Conspiracy. We don't know what he thinks about you and what you did in that attack. So that's why I asked, do you feel that Robert Pearson was the reason Chaos Conspiracy, well, it became, well, chaos and it fell. The rise and fall of Chaos Conspiracy.
I mean, more and more you think about it, maybe he was. Because he wanted to go, I saw it in his eyes, he wanted to go side with Silas Walker. I could see it. Everything that was going on, and everyone could see it, he wanted to side with Silas Walker so badly. But he knew he had to stay on the good side because they holding those tag team titles.
That was a big chip in DBW at that time. To be the tag team champions in DBW, you know, what have we said the last 2 years? DBW's tag team division, it's the best in the underground, and it's the best compared to a lot of places. Look at who's held those tag team championships. Look at who holds those tag team championships currently, right?
The Brooklyn Prodigies.
And the Brooklyn Prodigies, they've been all over the place. The Brooklyn Prodigies, guess who the Brooklyn Prodigies were in the ring with not too long ago? The Stepdads. Rad Dad, who's here next Monday. So we know that, and look at who was one half of the DBW Tag Team Champions. The man that you are going to be in the ring with here down the road in a few weeks. Mr. Sammy Nothing with the Heretics. We know that the history of the tag, how about Ego, right? Look at what Ego did with those titles, right? Austin James, a man that Silas Walker did plenty to, and he was here last week. So we think about the tag teams, right? The tag teams that have been here in DBW and have held those championships, it's the very best pound for pound. I mean, there's no denying that. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, that's a big chip.
Mm-hmm. It is a very big accomplishment to hold those tag team titles. Looking at the teams that have been in DBW's history
For sure.
to hold those titles. You're talking in the eras of the Dawn's March, the Dark Brotherhood, Brothers Creed.
Hanson and Mike held the titles last year. How about with them? What they've done in their career? Yep.
Hanson and Kid Mike and Chaos and
Ego,
Divinity, and the Heretics. Like, you have big names that all have held these titles. And all of a sudden now, Pearson wants to start having a conscience for himself and almost wants to drop the ball on it. Like, I know technically I was not the leader of Chaos because we were all one leader. However, something had to be done. Unfortunately, it put Cassidy in a very unlikely position of having to find a new partner. But it had to be done.
Yeah, no, there was no question. You're the reason then that Robert Pearson was gone for almost 10 months. We hadn't seen Robert Pearson really in almost a year. I mean, that's a long time. I mean, Robert Pearson, we didn't know if we'd ever see him literally again. You know, what you did to Jacob Cassidy is what, well, you essentially did to Robert Pearson. And he was this close, Jacob Cassidy, of being dealt that same fate that Robert Pearson had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I let my anger out a little bit last year on Pearson and bottled it back up before anyone could see what happened. And, well, I finally let Cassidy see what happened to his tag team partner at that point.
So, do you feel that Robert Pearson could get into the way of your plans of destroying Chaos Conspiracy once and for all? I mean, he said it's not ending on his watch. You said it is. So what do you have to say about that?
Plan A may not have gone to fruition how I wanted it to, but there's always a plan B.
There's always a plan B, but you're not going to tell us that tonight because that would be tipping your hand to Robert Pearson, because you know Robert Pearson's somewhere lurking. Somebody's going to tell him about this, and he's going to want to respond.
Exactly.
I've even heard that Robert Pearson, he wants to come back to Sportswire, but I don't think that would be a good idea considering the mood that you're in, right? Because then you might have to meet him here on Sportswire and then have to confront him for
He can
Why?
he can show up if he wants.
Nah,
But he's
that's not a
coming
good
on
idea.
he's coming on my show now.
No. Yeah, he's not coming on tonight. I am not that dumb. I'm
Oh
not going
no,
to
I'm just
certainly
saying
make
though.
that mistake.
He
This is your show now.
Omen, this is still your show for the long run.
No.
Trust me.
DBW, you are the Omen Black of DBW now. You know what? You know what? You're absolutely right. You know, I couldn't have said it any better myself. You know, we've had a lot of people from DBW come on here. You know, it's almost been like a reunion. We've had 4 different DBW segments here in the last week and a half, right? Chase Wakefield, yeah, we'll get to him. Silas Walker, who you now thank. And Aaron Blaze, the newest member of the DBW roster, was here, and you're here. And I even hear from the grapevine that Sammy Nothing is coming here before Total Domination X. He says he wants to respond to all these different people that want his championship. I'm going to give him that opportunity. But you know what? When it comes to DBW on Sportswire, it is Colton Lee's show. No, you're absolutely right. This is your show. This is, when it comes to DBW coverage, your platform. And you know what, Robert Pearson, it would be a grave mistake on his part if he comes on here tonight, which he's definitely not coming on here, and maybe if he wants to come on here in the future, that'll be a big mistake on his part. I agree with you, sir.
It most definitely would be. Rob, pay attention. What you see here is exactly what will happen when you get in the ring with me. You saw what I did to your partner. What's going to happen when you face me?
Instead of not seeing him for 10 months, we may never see him again. I mean, you said it yourself, sir. You said that you're going to tie up Pearson and Cassidy, and you're just going to basically decapitate him. So that's it. There's nothing else left to say. There's nothing else left to do. I mean, so we know the answer. You basically told us the outcome. Basically, you've turned into your own version of being Nostradamus. There's nothing else more to say when it comes to that.
I've become my own harvester of pain.
Well, you know what? You're definitely not the harvester of sorrow, because you're not sorry for anything. So I can't compare you to a Metallica song, because again, you're not sorry about anything. You've even said you're not apologizing. You got no regrets. And listen, you're lucky that this all happened in a DBW arena, because if it was anywhere else, you would have got 20 to life. You would have been the one handcuff. But then you know what? Maybe you would have wanted that, because that would have put you into a playground, which you're going to be in here coming up at Total Domination X. And you're going to have that opportunity to be in a match that, well, maybe it was designed for you, in a match that you've been wanting to be in since the day you were born, and you didn't even know it, Colton Lee, the Heartless Sheriff.
Yes. Coming up at TDX, I get to participate in the most famous match DBW has to offer, and that being the penitentiary match. For the first time ever, the World Championship is not on the line in it, but the World Extreme Championship is on the line.
That might even be
Am I excited?
But that might even
Am I
be
excited?
No.
I'm excited.
You're excited.
6 people. Myself, Mr. Judgment, Sammy Nothing. 3 of the 6 have been decided.
Correct.
We need 3 more people to be decided in this match.
So let's talk about then one participant that will be decided coming up, and that will be decided at Fallout here soon. And that is the two men that I referenced that have been here recently to talk about DBW. And two men, like I said, I don't even know why they'd want to be in this match. I asked both men this question. They were, well, no, we got to do it. We got to be in it. We got to show it. Aaron Blaze, one of those names said, no, this is exactly why I've got to prove my worth. And, Chase Wakefield talked about his history. And, what do you think about that then? That these two men are competing for, an opportunity to be decapitated by you, certainly. And they'd still, if you don't decapitate them, have to deal with Mr. Judgment, the current incumbent, the champion Sammy Nothing, and two other people to be determined as well. I mean, what is your thoughts on being in the penitentiary match with either one of them, Aaron Blaze or Chase Wakefield?
I mean, if you're really, I could probably pick right now who I would want to be in the match, but
well, why tell the audience, right? Because they got to still compete, right?
I could give my prediction.
Now, all right. Well, who do you think is going to win? Now, who do you want to be in there? But who do you think wins between Aaron Blaze and Chase Wick? Really, a match that's like 7 years in the making.
As much as he has the heart to be here, he has the fire. Yes, he has the heart for it, but he needs to show that mean streak. And I don't think he's going to do it in this match. So, my prediction will be Chase Wakefield moves on to the penitentiary match. Aaron Blaze, I'm sorry, but you gotta show something here. I know you have the heart, I know you have the fire, but you don't have the ruthlessness. You don't have that mean streak to get where you need to be at.
And that's a good point because Chase Wakefield's been a world champion before. Chase Wakefield has held a lot of championships in DBW. He's been a part of the Dawn's March. And Chase Wakefield, I'm glad you said some of the things. You were in the chat last week because Chase Wakefield, he's got way more to prove in DBW than Aaron Blaze. Aaron Blaze just walked into DBW, right? It was a big thing to see him here. He shocked the world. He showed up. It was a great thing, no question about it. It's great to see him here in DBW. It was an honor to talk about him and Aaron Jones. But the truth is that this is the playground of Chase Wakefield. Chase Wakefield hasn't won a match in DBW, in over a year. He's kind of in the spot that you've been in. He's kind of in the spot that Silas Walker was in last year. I mean, Chase Wakefield, he's got to win this match not only to save face in DBW, but maybe even to save face for his potential marriage and his wedding show, which you still haven't been announced on the card yet for, sir.
I know. I may not go full Heartless Sheriff on him, but
no,
I still want that invitation.
No, you want Wakefield because Wakefield, he didn't put you on the card. He put other DBW guys on the card. He even put Silas Walker on the card. He didn't put you on the card. He didn't do that. So certainly, you know what, Aaron Blaze, congratulations. You're not, if Colten Lee is right, you're going to continue your career because Chase Wakefield, listen, if Silas Walker wanted to end his career and couldn't do it, but he was close, just wait till what you do. So there's no question. You've got a lot on your mind here. So, I mean, Chase Wakefield desperately needs a win. He needs a win to save, again, his wedding show, but maybe he won't because when you see him in that penitentiary match, you are going to toss him around just like what we watched for 15 minutes with Jacob Cassidy, sir. You want Wakefield.
Pretty much.
You want Wakefield. But let's talk about the two other participants now before I ask you who else do you think could be in it. But let's go to Mr. Judgment, a man that you were so close of beating. Maybe you were the guy that was the closest before Brandon finally did it and finally ended Mr. Judgment's run of being a champion for nearly 2 years. And that's where we go back to Merry Mayhem in 2023. I had you here right around that time. We talked how close you were. You were right there. And now you finally get Mr. Judgment again after almost 2 years. I am sure.
2 years of him hiding and running from me, by the
And
way.
you know what? You get that chance. And I know you talked a lot about you want to end Chaos Conspiracy. I know we've talked a lot about Silas in the past. I know Jackson Snow's been a topic here in the past. I know a lot of people that we've talked about up and down the DBW roster have been a topic here. But you know, Mr. Judgment, deep down, you've wanted him more than anybody else here. You have figuratively and literally unfinished business with the prophet of purgatory.
I most certainly do. And now that the sides have switched, let's see. Let's see if the prophet. Let's see if the prophet now can handle the heartless one.
And you know, I know deep down, and we're watching you on confessionals here, by the way, with Mr. Judgment. I know that deep down that you really have a lot of angst toward this man. I know, because I've talked to you a lot about this here on Sportswire on and off the air. You most certainly blame him just as much as Chaos Conspiracy for everything that has happened in your career. I mean, and now this man's going to have to deal with that. I mean, he may be a big man, but you were the guy. You were the guy, and now you're going to take out. Oh, this is almost 2 years in the making, and it's in a penitentiary match. So there's no getting out of. There's no escape. There's no escape.
I mean, really, he was the one that founded the penitentiary match, if you think about it.
And now you're going to be the one that's responsible for his demise. Think about it. You were right there almost 2 years ago. And now, how things and how the tables have turned, you're going to now be responsible for the demise of the prophet himself, Mr. Judgment.
I said it before, and I'll say it again.
Yes, sir.
The new blood has been rising in DBW. You see what the new blood can do in DBW. Myself, the man on the screen beside me, Jackson Saber.
I know Jackson Saber very well. He was the first guest I had on last year, and he's been in there with Mr. Judgment, by the way. He's mixed it up with him.
Jay Luther.
Look at what he's done, Jay Luther.
Chaos, Cassidy, Pearson.
Well, you're going to end them, so you can just put them off to the side because you're going to.
I want to say this though. I'll say it like this though.
Do it.
Myself, Saber, Luther, Chaos. Now Aaron Blaze.
Go blazing.
The new blood is slowly and surely overcoming the veterans of DBW.
How about Zachary Depew? Look at what he's done. You could throw him.
I'll count Zach Depew in there, and I'll even count Jackson in there.
Yeah.
The new blood of DBW is slowly taking over and showing why we are the future of DBW. Why we will run DBW.
So
and
Mr.
that,
he can't
my
run
friend, will be led, unfortunately, by the Blaze.
Oh, I see. The Blaze, yeah. The Blaze, and not Aaron Blaze, but the other Blaze. I see what you did there. I most certainly see what you did there. But, I mean, you've got obviously a lot of pent-up aggression. Let me say hello to some people here. James Taylor's been here, who, by the way, has a new photo on his Instagram profile, but he's got his old one. Please keep that one on YouTube. He looks good there. Our friend Athena is here, who was driving on Instagram, and she's not driving anymore because she's here on Sportswire. My buddy Blaze the Bingo Hole, who, by the way, he's speaking to Just Incredible here coming up this week. Yeah, that's a pretty cool interview. And he's interviewed, by the way, And the Blaze Ace Christian's going to be on his channel, I think, next week. So check that out. He's been a friend, and I've watched a couple of his podcasts, and maybe he'll interview you instead. Because obviously at this point, you just want to handcuff me to the microphone. You obviously can't deal with me much longer. You obviously rather deal with my mother because she has the band Heartless, and you know that I've been asking.
No.
It was a joke. I was
No.
kidding.
Oh, I know, but you're the only one that knows how to control the anger. So,
Well, Mr. Judgment's going to have to find it out. But, obviously, thank you, everybody here, and hit the sub button for us. But, all right, so we talked about Mr. Judgment. There's a lot of history there. You and I relived that match on Sportswire after it happened. You've been on here countless times. There is the Blaze himself, Ace Christian, and certainly the young Lurch, Blaze the Bingo Hole, knows him very well, too. And I want to talk about, though, the man that I'm really excited about coming to Sportswire Radio for the first time. Very excited about this here. Because Sammy Nothing is the World Extreme Champion. This is a guy we talked about as a tag team champion. This is a guy that's done a lot with this title. And he's heard a lot from what Aaron Blaze had to say about him, Chase Wakefield had to say about him. And now you're going to talk about him, and he's the incumbent through all of this. We're going to see what happens with Wakefield and Blaze. There'll be 2 other participants to be announced going into this. But what is your thoughts right now on the current champion? And what do you think you're going to do to him in order to take that World Extreme Championship from him?
Well, I made my presence known to him at Mary Mayhem.
Yes, you did confront him. Yes. Yeah.
I said, anytime you want to go, we'll go for that Extreme title.
Well, now what's going to happen?
You see, I'm at a point now where I'm willing to put my body on the line to do anything at this point to beat him or anyone for that World Extreme title.
Right.
So, what happens when a man is willing to put his body on the line for something that he wants? That's a very dangerous man, is it not?
Oh, you opened the show. First of all, you had no video when I did the intro. Then you showed your old self shirt, and then you had handcuffs. So tonight, you're definitely, instead of calling you the Heartless Sheriff, maybe we should call you the Underground's most dangerous man, Colten Lee. I mean, certainly somebody there in marketing there in DBW on the Bonfire page can look at that. But Sammy Nothing, right? He's not going to be Jacob Cassidy. He's not going to be Robert Pearson. He's going to be very tough to topple, no matter who else is in that match. And he knows Mr. Judgment. He was in a faction with him. He knows him very well. So he's got him scouted. He certainly knows Chase Wakefield very well. Blaze, he's been paying attention to. And, well, you've got a little bit of history with him in his own right. We'll see about who else is going to be in the match. But Sammy Nothing, I mean, listen, he did a lot to keep the title. Just we saw last week with Casey James, a man who he knows very well. So ultimately, at the end of the day, I mean, he's not going to be what you just did to Jacob Cassidy, and he's going to be still tough, nevertheless.
I mean, really, if you really think about it, in my 3-4 years that I've been wrestling, me and Sammy have never really faced off one-on-one.
You never
or in any type of
no.
or have any type of match whatsoever. So technically, when I get into the ring for the penitentiary match with him, will be our first technical meeting we get.
How do you feel about that? How do you feel that this is one guy that in DBW that you don't really have a lot of physical history with? How do you feel about that?
I think it's a brand new experience for me to feel like what I can do to someone.
Mm-hmm.
What the pain they can absorb from me is, which makes me have to go harder than I normally would have to.
But you have to prepare differently because, listen, Cassidy, you knew him like the back of your hand. Jackson Snow, you went to war with. You knew he was kind of your mentor. We spoke about everybody knows Judgment, right? But now Sammy Nothing, how are you preparing for him versus everybody else we've talked about over the last 2 years here?
My thing is though with Sammy, he's very predictable. Predictable. He's very. Everyone says he's a five-tool. I'll do it in baseball terms. He's a five-tool player.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that because Aaron kind of said the same thing about him on Friday. So without using that term, Aaron said the same thing kind of. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that.
So depending on what you're going to get, could really make a difference. Right now, he's only showing one hand, and that's his extreme hand. Yeah,
Right.
he showed a little bit of his technician style against KC at Unfinished Business. But really he's really been showing just his hardcore hand. So what's it going to take to have to beat someone like me or someone like me in the future if it comes down to that? What do you have in your bag, Sammy, to beat someone like me or bigger to hold on to that World Extreme Championship?
So now he'll be here to talk about that. He'll be here to talk about that when the time comes. But my response would be, well, I'm the incumbent. I've been the champion. I've had a tough road to keep the title. We know the legacy of that title. Jackson, Roland Havoc. We know who's held the World Extreme title. And his response would be, well, look at who I took the title from. Look at the history of that title. Look at how I've had to fight to keep that title. And look at what I've done in the tag division. So from his vantage point, he's going to basically say, well, you know what? I'm battle tested. I've been there in different spots. Look at what I've done in my career so far. And I'm going to use those same things as a veteran to hold my championship. And remember, he's still got to deal with guys. Listen, he knows also, right? You in Judgment, you're going for Judgment in that penitentiary. You've got a lot of pent-up rage there with Judgment, right? Blaze and Wakefield, you've got pent-up rage with him if he wins that because you have not been invited to his wedding. You weren't put on the card. And who else comes in there? I'm sure, could be some unfinished business there. What if there are names like Roland Havoc? What if there are other names there? Big guys like you and Sammy Nothing can use, like you said, his 5 tools to keep that championship. And he's been here before. He's been battle tested as a singles and a tag team champ. That'll be he'll tell us when he's here, but that would be my response and what he'll say.
It could come down to that. It all depends on who else is in that match.
What do you think about that? Are you prepared for who could the 2 participants be for that? What's your opinions on it? I mean, obviously we'll find out. I mean, I'm sure Sammy will have a different opinion as well.
I am expecting some shenanigans to happen. I'm expecting something, I have the button ready, some bullshit to happen on that. So I am expecting something to happen come Total Domination, where someone's getting either a hit list is getting put out on someone, or someone's getting taken out backstage, or something's going to happen. Someone's going to get put right into the spot at TD at Total Domination.
What if Pearson's put in the spot?
Oh, it just makes it easy then.
No, I could say it could make it worse for you because you've got think about this, right? Judgment and Pearson, you got a lot of animosity toward, right? And that could distract you from Sammy Nothing. He's the incumbent. Wakefield, if he's in there also, you got a lot of pent-up rage toward him. I mean, so think about that. I think it actually make it worse for you. Yeah, drink some iced tea to that because you hadn't thought about that.
No. It would not make it harder for me.
What do you mean?
It just means that it just makes it easier because then I have all my targets lined up ready to go.
Remember, he's the incumbent. He's gonna want divide and conquer. He's gonna want you to fight Cassidy, Wakefield, and Judgment, and whoever else is in there. That gives you a better chance of keeping the title.
But that means that I get to save the best for last. That means I get to save the champion for last.
Potentially.
I get through all my other business first, depending on who's in the match, and I get to the champion.
Maybe. I mean, okay. I mean, I'll give you that. That's a possibility. Let me get to a few comments here. Justin Parsley, who's dealing with his own health issues, he's definitely not going to be one of those participants. He has a concussion right now from Omen Black, and he'll be out of action for a bit. But the Hall Monitor would like to say that he's his favorite wrestler, my favorite wrestler in the chat. Well, you're the Hall Monitor, and who else is in the chat that's wrestler? So technically, he's right, actually. I think he's the only wrestler in the chat. So, yeah, he's actually right. But if he still looks like that, hopefully he's laying down with I guess an ice pack and maybe red. They still have those like cloths. When I was a kid, they had the red cloths you use, or pink, light red cloth with ice. I remember that was a thing. Somebody I guess knows you here. What the hell is happening here? You wrestle? Yes, he does. And please hit the sub button for DBW. And there's another wrestler in the chat. Well then, tied for first. Just so the prodigy from our friends, obviously in WBWF, and Justin Parsley, my two favorite wrestlers in the chat. And obviously, Colten Lee's my favorite wrestler on the screen. You like how I did that? My favorite wrestler on the screen. So, I mean, listen, I've got three great. Yes, that was a good one. I got three my favorites here tonight. I got Justin Parsley, the Prodigy James, who, by the way, WVWF is going to be a big topic here coming up on Friday with Michael McMoney, because I heard from the grapevine that he didn't win that hybrid championship. We're going to definitely talk about that. But, yeah, Justin Parsley's here. The Prodigy James Curry is here. And also, if you are here, hit the sub button for me. Hit the sub button for DBW. And, yeah, Colten definitely wrestles. And see what he did to Jacob Cassidy. And don't try this at home. He's got an Instagram page. Go out and give him a follow on Instagram. DBW's got a YouTube page. They got over 4,000 subscribers. And I'm actually almost a few subscribers away from 1,500. So if you are here and have not subscribed, hit the sub button for me, because I'm like 4 or 5 subscribers away. So hit the sub button for me there. And we're talking for a little while longer with the Heartless Sheriff Colten Lee. All right, let me ask you then this question. I know Sammy will be here, and I'm really curious to see what he thinks. But I want to ask you, what would it mean to you then to be the DBW World Extreme Champion?
I mean, not only with it being my first championship in DBW, yes, it would mean something monumental for me. But you're also talking about something that has helped define a division. Every single champion that has held that championship has redefined that division of what it was previously.
That's a good point. Chase made the same point last week. That's a good point. I agree with you on that.
I'll go back. Roland Havoc. Look what he did with the division.
Oh my goodness!
Look at what Jackson did with the division when he was in charge of it. It got brutal.
You found that out firsthand.
Twice.
I know. Well, I mean, we're not going to talk about that because you have the handcuffs handy. But yeah, Jackson certainly. And look at what Sammy's does. So think about it.
And
just what
exactly.
History. Look at the recent history, right? Look at what Roland did with the title, right? Roland's run is legendary, right? Look at what Jackson did with the title, right? And then look at what Sammy's done with that championship. So those three men, they've set the bar. They've set the bar with the World Extreme Championship.
Yes, they have all set the bar in different ways for the World Extreme Championship. Me winning the championship would just set a different bar to what they have all set. Anytime a new champion is crowned for that World Extreme Championship, think of it as a new stepping stone to what that division is going to be.
It's a good point. I think that's a good point, especially in a very competitive one like the World Extreme, because look at who's competed for that. You've had world champions. You've had guys. Brandon competed for that title with Roland. I mean, so if you look at who's competed for that championship, for you to win it and to win it with the competition that's in that, I mean, that's basically icing on the cake.
And then with me as the champion, I get to help basically redefine the division myself. Basically, how do I want it to be if I win it?
No, I know what you want to do. You've answered it tonight. You want to decapitate everybody. You want to use those handcuffs. You want to basically become the big boss man and basically just make everybody that you're in the ring with lifeless and helpless. And we're gonna say, well, if it was anywhere else, he would have got 20 to life. That's what you're gonna do. You basically told us that all night tonight on Sportswire.
I want to make it back to the way it should be. I want to make it extreme rules all time, anytime.
No. Oh my. Listen, you know what? I mean, yeah, they may be chanting a-hole, a-hole. They may be doing that here in the DBW arena there. And yeah, that, you know what? That is something that I'm going to certainly have to ponder here. And congratulations. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to, I'm sure McMoney is going to have plenty to say about what happened at the WVWF Ryan James Memorial Show Friday. I'll probably ask Timothy Titan a little bit about it tomorrow night. Timothy Titan's in your chair. Boy, he's got a lot to follow up here, Colten. I mean, if I'm Timothy Titan, he better be on his A game tomorrow because he's in your chair at 9:30. We're giving him an extra half an hour because, well, he's going to have to basically follow up. You open the show with handcuffs. You didn't have a video on, and you open the show in handcuffs. That just tells you how difficult it's going to be for Timothy Titan to live up to that. But he'll try. I have no doubt that he'll certainly do a good job. By the way, Omen Black will be back here on his show Tuesday night. So, yeah, it's getting really, really physical here on Sportswire, I've noticed the last few days. Yoshi Matsuda was here as the Oyabun, and he talked about what he's going to do in Wrestling Zero. You had Aaron Blaze here on Friday, which certainly set the underground scene on fire. You had Tyson Spade, who was deranged. And we had you tonight, Timothy Titan tomorrow. And yeah, oh, by the way, Tuesday, Omen Black is here. The Boogeyman is back on his platform to probably celebrate what he did to Justin Parsley. But okay, so obviously that championship means.
Oh, hold on. Parsley, if you're here still, lower the lights. It helps with the concussions. Trust me.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. That's a good point. That's a very good point. Hopefully he's not doing Jeopardy trivia and just doing that. That would be a good point. Maybe that'll help him with that. But all right. So we've spoke a lot tonight about what you've done to Cassidy, why you've done it. You talked about Pearson. You talked about Walker. You thanked him finally. You talked about the history with Judgment. You talked about, obviously, Sammy Nothing, which I think I'm very curious to see what he has to say. But is there anything else that you want to talk about, DBW related, or anything else that we haven't got a chance to cover before we get to any other words you may have before you, well, decide to either turn the lights off or handcuff me for my comments tonight or questions?
I mean, if there's anything that the audience live wants to know.
Well, I would say non-DBW related. Sorry about the Capitals, by the way. First of all, sorry about the Capitals.
Out of character here, people.
Yeah.
Out of character here. Tom knows I am a big Washington, D.C.
You actually telling me sometimes, don't bother me, Ovechkin chase.
Yes. Earlier in the season, I was a very avid follower of the Capitals chase for the 895, should I say.
And he missed time. He missed a few weeks, and a lot of people thought that he wouldn't have broke the record because he missed like 10 or 12 games, if I'm not mistaken.
6 weeks he missed.
Yeah.
6 weeks, and he still managed to do it in same amount of games.
And he did it. And he did it against my New York Islanders, actually.
Yeah.
I will tell you. I'll tell you one thing off character. When I used to have season tickets for the New York Islanders when they played in Brooklyn, and there was only one player that made my heart go like this, kind of like what you did to Jacob Cassidy. That was Alexander Ovechkin. He would load up the puck when they would pass it to him, whoever it was, on the power play. He was the one guy I'd go like this. Not even Crosby. I've seen McDavid. I've seen Austin Matthews. I've seen Malkin. I've seen all the great players over the past 10 or 12 years. He was the one player when I would watch, my seats were right below the goalie. He was the one guy. I'm like, okay, I can't. Stamkos was another player I would watch, and I watched him in the playoffs. But him, Ovechkin, with his shot, when it would load up, he was the one guy go like this.
He is the generational player. Sorry to anyone who doesn't like hockey here. We're going into hockey terms here. He is the Gretzky of our time, of the early, I want to say, early to late 2000s.
Yeah. Well, his career, look at how he was a model of consistency, right? He missed, it was 2.5 years, right? You had the lockout year of 13. You had COVID, which was 21, like 50 games. And then he missed games, and he still was able to break the record.
And no one thought he would do. He even said when he first started with Washington, I don't think this record will ever be broken.
He didn't even know he was going to play that long to do it. He said like 5 or 6 years ago, I don't know if I'm going to play that long.
No. And I honestly think he is a first-round Hall of Famer when he retires.
He's got the goals record. Listen, you may be a heartless sheriff, but there's no question he's going in the first chance he's in for the Hall of Fame.
There is multiple players right now that I could say that is a first-round Hall of Famer. As much as I don't like the man, Crosby is another one of those first-round Hall of Famers that will be going in.
I think McDavid.
McDavid. Marc-Andre Fleury will be going in. Malkin, yes.
Steven Stamkos.
Maybe give him another couple years or so.
His stats are already there. He's got 2 Stanley Cups. He's got 1,000+ points. Steven Stamkos. The first chance he gets, he's getting in the Hall of Fame. To me,
okay, yeah. Now I do have to ask you, knowing you kind of like some baseball stuff.
I do like baseball, yes.
Rob Manfred just released the press release the other day.
Let me guess, Pete Rose, right? What do I think about Pete Rose? I think Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. But they did it to me. It's like it's hollow. He's dead already, though. It's a stupid thing. He's dead. It's like, yeah, okay.
I understand this, and trust me, I said this when he was alive. He made his mistake.
Yeah.
He owned up to the mistake. It was time to let it go and get him reinstated.
Yeah.
Get him reinstated back into the MLB so he could finally get that recognition he deserved.
Yeah, but you know the irony is that he's in the WWE Hall of Fame before the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
The irony of that. But yeah, no, listen. I mean, Pete Rose, he shouldn't have did what he did, but he should be in the Hall. There's people that have done so much worse in society and in sports, and they should have put him in the Hall of Fame when he was alive, but they didn't do that because it was stupid. Stupid thing.
Thank you.
Should have been in.
Thank you.
No question about it. To me, I've been saying that for years. I've been saying that, for like, I don't know, 15, 20 years.
I have been to the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Cooperstown, yeah. I knew somebody that actually, they had family that lived. The people that live in Cooperstown hate the Baseball Hall of Fame. Do you know that? They hate it.
Yeah, because they get so many visitors and there's no place
and
to
they know, like, it's a little small town in the southern tier of upstate New York, and they look at it like they want nothing to do with it.
Yeah. But I've been there, and I've seen a lot of the stuff in there.
Yeah.
There is some players that should not even be in there that have done a lot worse things than what Pete Rose has done.
Listen,
I am not going to name anything. You can all do some research.
Absolutely. Listen, there's people in there, that have done terrible things and got chance, again, racism, steroids, a lot of other things. And I put my Ovechkin card up to show you. I have an Ovechkin card. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
I spent a little bit of money at a card shop, and I managed to pick up 2 Jaden Daniel rookie cards.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I think I spent maybe $20 on both cards.
I've noticed that it's crazy. Achille was saying, at least where I live, I've seen it in Staten Island and Brooklyn, that cards collecting has made a comeback. I've noticed that card shops
Hmm.
are opening again. I remember as a kid that where I lived, there was 1, 2, 3, like there was like 5 card shops within like a 10-block radius. And when I collected baseball cards, basketball cards, and I would go to like I would pick one place one day, I go to another place another day, and I go to another place, and I go to 5 places in like a 10-block radius. But they're coming back a little bit because I think because of the autographs, the grading of the cards, so if you're into that stuff, it's kind of made a comeback the last few years.
I mean, I'm not really big into like the grading stuff and everything. I just like to kind of like have them and collect them and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
I
But
never got my stuff great. I never had the time. I just never, I just haven't. I didn't do it.
I like going in there and kind of seeing what people are looking at, what people are kind of looking for. I set up an account with Panini just fairly recently, and I'm a big fan of a whole bunch of different stuff. So I ended up opening up an old pack of NASCAR Panini cards that they had in the store for like 100. They had like $160.
Oh wow! Well, yeah. Well, Panini does the NBA card. They do the NBA now. They did the
Yeah,
NHL. They're doing.
they did NASCAR cards.
Yeah.
They're still doing NASCAR cards for a little bit. So I opened up one of the old packs, and I actually managed to find the souvenir card for one of the redeems in the pack, and no one knew it was in there. I've been
Yeah.
waiting. I put that back in February. It's now May, so
Oh wow! Oh wow! Yeah, I used to
yeah,
love
I'm
going
still
to
waiting
card.
for it.
As a kid, I would go. I remember, like, I would go and like spend like an hour or 2 hours at a time and just look through. I remember as a kid, just like my summers would be like looking at baseball cards, all day. It was fun.
Hmm.
It was fun. It was
I
fun.
like looking. I like getting the I think it's the tops or the Allen and Gintz.
Yeah, I seen those. Yeah, I seen those.
It's the Allen and Gintz. I think it's made by Tops. I love the old school designs that they do with the Allen and Gintz stuff. I think that is the coolest thing they do. Even like the tearing off the back of the card and seeing what's
Um,
inside the cards.
well, the jerseys were a big thing. You would get sometimes with the cards a part of the jersey or a part of the game worn
Hmm.
thing. Like Tops was big with those, but I don't have any room to
Yeah.
collect cards any. Unfortunately, like I just can't collect cards. It's just I would get back into it, but I don't have any.
Yeah, and with Tops now doing WWE cards, I've almost like wanted to spend the money and start doing that. But
Yeah, I did. You know what? Like 2 years before I had he was covering DBW. I did one show. I did when I was on Facebook only, and I bought a AEW. I bought like 10 packs of AEW cards, and I actually opened them up one end. I got like a lot of views on YouTube and Facebook. Let me get to some comments though. I want to say hello to people before we get to a few other things here. El Drago's in the house. He'll be here Tuesday night, I am sure, because Omen Black's going to be here. Also, let me get to before Zilla's question is Rip to Sabu. Yes, obviously Gary Wolf. We thought about Gary a lot. I spoke to Gary about that. Yes, Sabu definitely hits home, and we want to give our thoughts to him. Sabu should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Yeah, I mean that's another one. Sabu should definitely be in the WWE Hall of Fame. And I don't know why he's not. I don't know why he's not in the Hall of Fame.
I can explain that one.
Yeah, go for it, 'cause-
20. I think it's 2006.
So about the marijuana one, right?
Yes.
With the Rob Van Dam.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Rob Van Dam.
That would be.
Didn't they induct Rob Van Dam? They put him in. I think
But Van Dam made up. But Van Dam made up with WWE at that point.
That's true. That's true.
Sabu never has made up with WWE at that point.
They just put Lex Luger in the Hall of Fame, and look at what I mean with Elizabeth. I mean, like a lot of people. I mean, he was.
I do think Elizabeth should be in now. I'm just going to say that now.
I think Elizabeth should be in the Hall of Fame, but I look at like Lex Luger. They finally put him in, so like Sabu should be in. I mean, like if you're
Mhm.
going based on ECW and his career, I know WWE he didn't have like a big run really, but ECW as
I
an
mean,
individual.
technically, you could say you could say his ECW run, but also his WCW run a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he had a year in WWE. He had a few months in WCW. Yeah, I mean, listen, to me, he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, it's a matter of.
Yeah,
I mean, look, Luger. It took a long time to get him in. The British Bulldog. It took a long time to get the British Bulldog in. I mean, I think that Sabu should, but I hate to when listen. It's like you asked me about Pete Rose. I hate that these people get in the Hall of Fame when they're not alive. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
you know.
Another one, and unfortunately, he recently died, and he won't get to be there to experience it. Is Sid?
Yeah, another guy that I didn't, he was Michael McMoney brought him up a few days ago on Sportswire. He was a world champion in WWF and WCW, and he wrestled the Undertaker in the main event of WrestleMania. I mean, he wrestled Hulk Hogan in the main event of WrestleMania. So yes, Sid. I never got why Sid wasn't in the Hall of Fame. Sid was a big in the '90s. He was a big player. ECW, he
Mhm.
was in ECW too. Sid was a big money guy. Sid was in a lot of main events. See, I didn't get why he was ever not in the Hall of
Yeah, I
Fame.
never really fully understood why Sid was never in.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
mean, I've looked. I mean, we all know one that's probably going to go in next year, who finally signed the Legends agreements this year, which would be Demolition.
yeah, another one that definitely were late '80s. Probably they were basically the carbon copy of the Road Warriors. Yeah, Demolition should
Yeah,
have been in the Hall, but I think that was because of the concussion suit, right? They were part of the sued.
yeah, that was because of the concussion suit that they did that they were still on, but they finally, I guess, made up with Triple H and stuff like that. Finally, so that has all been
Yeah,
mended.
Demolition should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. I agree with you. They should definitely
Hmm.
be in the Hall of Fame. I don't even know why they weren't, but I think the concussion thing was a part of it. But yeah, I think that they should get in. I think it's Sabu to me. I think those ECW guys, Sabu, Raven, I think
Dreamer.
Dreamer. Yeah, I think those guys, Sandman, should be
Well, I
in.
mean, look all who's in from ECW. You have Van Dam, you have the Dudleys, and you have Heyman.
Well, I would say to that, the reason that they're probably in is because those guys had major WWE success. Think about the Dudleys, the Dudleys of the Dudleys.
Hmm.
Heyman.
I mean, you could also put. I would say you definitely put Raven in more for his WCW run.
Raven did, yeah. Raven won the U.S. title. He had some success in WWE. He was there. He had 2 cups of coffee. I mean, I think Raven
We
should
don't
be in
talk
the
about the. We don't talk about the first run.
No, no, Johnny Polo. But I mean, listen, no, I think that Raven should definitely be in. But I think the answer is Rob Van Dam. I mean, who had some big. I mean, he had big success in WWE. He was a big
Yeah.
player in WWE. And the Dudleys. I mean, the Dudleys are a part of 2 of the maybe most influential matches in wrestling history. And they have I think the most tag team championships of anybody.
Hmm.
Even including the Road Warriors, LOD, the Steiners. So yeah, I think that's why
23 tag teams altogether.
the
23 tag
Dudleys.
team championships.
Yeah, the Dudleys. I mean, that's why they're in. I mean, I think Jericho will eventually one day get in. Although he was an ECW guy, not really like a lot of success in ECW, but Rey
I mean,
Mysterio.
he did win. He did win the U.S. title before he went to WCW,
Yeah, and
or the TV title. TV
and Rey,
title.
Rey Mysterio was an ECW. So if you could
Yes.
theoretically say Rey Mysterio is an ECW. Well, I mean, like a long run ECW, but he was there, so you could throw him
Hmm.
in. But yeah, I think like
I watched the rise and fall of ECW documentary a long time ago.
yeah,
So I loved watching that.
yeah,
And I still watch the top 50 OMG moments of ECW.
yeah. No, there's
If you ever find that and watch that, go ahead and watch that. That's actually really brilliant.
Gary Ruff's a part of
Um,
one of them with the Halo segment. Duh.
yes, Shane Douglas. That's another one I do feel. Yes, he had a cup of coffee in WWE, but
He had
so influential.
Yeah. Oh, Shane Douglas, but it's politics because of how he left WWE, and and
Yeah.
he also has heat with Paul Heyman because Paul Heyman owed him a lot of money. So yeah, I think the Shane Douglas one. Shane Douglas should listen. Sandman should be in. Shane Douglas should be in. Raven should be in. Sabu should be in. Dreamer should be in. Definitely should be in.
Dreamer should just be in general.
But I guess the only thing I could say about Dreamer is maybe because he's still active, kind of. But like, I think like the guys that are not
I
active,
mean,
like,
you can say the same thing from Van Dam though too.
but Van Dam is different because he was a main event player in WWE. It's almost like Van Dam, you had to like put him in. You know what I'm saying? Like he was one
Yeah.
of those guys that crossed over. You've got to put him in. Like so, like that's that. Let me get to something else from Zilla before I get to final thoughts. How long have you been wrestling? When did you start wrestling? Who was your inspiration to become a wrestler?
Um, three. Let's see,
3.5 years ago.
21. So
3.5.
I'm starting on year 4, I think.
That's what I thought.
2021.
That's what I thought.
2021 I started.
Mm-hmm.
So started 2021. Inspirations. Surprisingly enough, and it's going to surprise a lot of people. Eddie was an inspiration of mine.
Yeah, we talked about that when you first came here. I remember that very well.
Yeah. Eddie. And it's good. Do I really want to say his name? Benoit was an inspiration just because his wrestling style was so.
I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it.
But his wrestling style was so unique.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Benoit goes without saying. If he didn't,
His wrestling style was so unique.
yeah, Benoit.
The man I hate, but the wrestling style was so unique for Benoit.
Yeah, Jericho's talked about this on his podcast countless times. I mean, we had one guy that comes on the show, TBK, and talked about him, and a lot of guys talk about him on here. There's no question his ring ability, but he can't be in the Hall of Fame. He can't.
No, but I go back and look. Surprisingly enough, one of my favorite matches involves these two. One Night Stand, 2005.
Oh yes.
When I tell people what my favorite match is, they go, "Wait, what?" And I just say, "Just go and watch it. Don't even pay attention about the aspect of the match. Just watch what is happening." Yeah. It is like, and Joey Styles says it best. It is like two painters painting on a canvas.
Yeah.
Eddie and Benoit are the two greatest wrestlers that will ever grace a wrestling ring.
And you know what? I will say this much. Eddie Guerrero, I don't ask this question much anymore, but when I used to ask it years ago, I would say of all the wrestlers and when Zilla sometimes ask it, I would say the wrestler that gets mentioned, the two wrestlers that get mentioned most as influences, at least here on Sportswire, is Guerrero and Mysterio, by far. They're the two wrestlers I would bet my money on it that they get brought up the most. And I think they're even to this day, well, certainly Mysterio, but even Guerrero is definitely relevant and inspirational. No question.
If I were to go a little bit when I started watching, it was Edge and Cena.
You know what? I mean, they had, that's why I think it stinks that Cena is going to end his career this year and Edge is not going to get one more shot.
No.
AEW. Not going to see it.
No.
It's terrible.
That's the thing that's just bugging the crap out of me because it's the most influential.
Yeah, they had a few.
It's the most influential rivalry that just captivated people.
That was, I think, you got Orton and Edge. To me, Cena's two biggest rivals in his career were Orton and Edge, and we're not getting Edge. I think that's a big bummer. No. I agree with you completely. If you grew up like we did in the Ruthless Aggression era, to me, you had to have, if Cena's going to go out, Edge, you had to have one more match for Edge, and we're not getting it. I think it's a total bummer. It's a bummer.
So, and for another, I would say, inspiration later on down the line, um, when I started watching some older stuff back, um, Vader, Bam Bam,
You look like Vader. You know.
Yoko, and um, surprisingly, a lot of people would, I would say, a little bit of Stan Hansen.
Yeah, if Stan Hansen comes up, right? Ramrock when he's back here next Thursday. I mean, he's talked about Stan Hansen and Stud Bronson, who wrestled Savio Vega. Vader is a big influence. Yeah, big influence. Yeah.
But a lot of the, honestly, a lot of the bloodline has really influenced what I do in the ring. Umaga, Yoko, Rikishi,
I could see
and
Umaga. I could see Umaga in you. I could see Umaga.
my running hip attack is inspired by
Yeah,
Umaga.
that's I thought the same. I thought Umaga right off the bat. I could see Umaga in your moveset, your psychology. Yeah, I could. Umaga is definitely a good one. The Prodigy wanted to say Chris Benoit is an inspiration to the crossface, wink and a nod. But yeah, he was very good in that Horseman. Yeah, Benoit had a great. Listen,
Yeah,
Benoit had an amazing run. He just, it's
he did the wrong thing.
yeah. I mean,
We'll just leave it at that. He did the wrong thing.
yeah, he just. I mean, there's you can't really there's
Yeah.
nothing to talk about. It's like you can't, he just and
Yeah.
it was Nancy Benoit's birthday yesterday. Did you see that?
Yeah.
It was on social media. So yeah, what a bummer. And with all due respect, Colton, you give me haystack vibes with the towering presence to your match.
Yeah.
A good one.
Honestly, I appreciate that. Haystacks is kind of someone who you don't hear about very often.
We've talked about him here on Sportswire. He comes up sometimes with the British guys. Yep.
Yeah, Haystacks is actually kind of those ones where it's like,
Because I've done World of Sports Talk on here, so it's definitely come up.
yeah, Haystacks is one of those ones where it's unless you're really into the old style wrestling, you wouldn't know who Haystacks is.
Yeah, it's come up because I'll get guys like the Tribal Cheese on here. I'll get RP Davis. So yeah, that's definitely one that comes up. Now that's a good one there. And yeah, go ahead.
No, it's one of those things. It's just one of those things where if you really like me, I love watching and studying stuff that I know I can do in the ring. I'm gonna say something here. It's not a spoiler or anything, but I've been starting to learn how to do the torture rack.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I could see it.
I've been learning how to do the torture rack and a possible way of doing the shock treatment from Abyss.
Well, don't spoil it if we see it in the penitentiary match. Don't spoil it.
No. No. I'm still working on stuff. It's not.
Yeah, I could see the torture rack. I could definitely see the torture rack in you. I could see it. We watched you with Cassidy. I'm sure there'll be something with Person.
Of course, and I want to be able to not only be this big man, but be the big man that can come out with different stuff. And
well, you have
you
to.
Don't know.
DBW is a verse. He's a lot of big men. You got to be versatile. So I think you have to in DBW in order to stand out. You have to be able to do something that makes you separated from a lot of the big men. I think that's a good point here. Also, I like to study moves. I can and can't do that way. I can take a move I might not be able to do and find a way to modify it to fit to my moveset and ability. It's a good analogy. It's a good It's a good analogy.
And that's the same way that I do the public execution. That came from a move that Billy Gunn used to do.
Oh, speaking of Billy Gunn, he's actually one of the companies that we talk about here, Thunder Mountain Wrestling. He's wrestling there, so yeah, that's going to be quite a treat. And we just spoke about Billy Gunn with Mr. Maverick. Mr. Maverick talked. He actually drove Billy Gunn to a show once, and that was kind of a funny. That was a funny conversation. But if you are here before we get to closing thoughts, that's DBW's YouTube page. We're going to have more DBW coverage ahead here coming up. Sammy Nothing is here very soon. We have received a message from Robert Pearson, but not tonight because Mr. Lee was in quite the mood. That's certainly not going to happen, but we do have more coverage ahead of DBW. I'm excited DBW is back because it's been a while, and we certainly made up for it here the last week and a half. Moves I want to do when I want to become a wrestler is the Rampage and Black Widow. Yep, that's stuff I've heard you say the last few days on Sportswire, and that's going to be stuff we're going to get to, I have no doubt, in the future, but I know you have a lot in your mind, and I have taken up your time and some. So I'm going to give you the floor for final thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say?
All right. Pearson. You overstepped you overstepped at unfinished business. If management allows it at Fallout, I want you in a match.
Whoa!
Now I'm not guaranteeing that this is going to happen, but I want a match with you at Fallout. Unfortunately, I know it won't happen because management has already decided that you get a tag team title shot, and I'm already busy at TDX. But it's looking like somewhere down the line, me and you have to come face to face. So, looking like your court date is going to be somewhere in the future, looks like.
Whoa. Court date in the future. That could be coming up at Fallout. And Robert Pearson may have stuck his nose in the business of Colten Lee. He might be looking for payback, but those handcuffs that Colten Lee had, well, yeah, they're going to come in handy because Colten Lee did say last week at Unfinished Business that, well, he's going to end it. And he could very well end it when it comes to Robert Pearson. Robert Pearson could rue the day that he came back to DBW to save his tag team partner, who was one half of those tag team champions alongside him when they were in Chaos Conspiracies, Jacob Cassidy. And boy, things are certainly getting interesting here in DBW. If you haven't yet, go follow Colten Lee on Instagram because you want to avoid his wrath. If you're on YouTube out there, DBW, we got a few new subscribers tonight, I see. Hit the sub button for DBW. And Sammy Nothing is coming here very soon. The World Extreme Champion will follow up what Colten Lee has said, Aaron Blaze has said, Chase Wakefield has said, most certainly Silas Walker, who our guest thanked tonight after almost a year. And Silas Walker, for now, is the general manager. But that'll certainly be a conversation. He's got the handcuffs. He's got them. The only thing left to say is, listen, thank you so much. Obviously, I can't wait to bring you back here after TDX. And maybe this time we'll have that Hall of Fame ceremony with you in that World Extreme Championship. You'll have ended Chaos Conspiracy and just who knows whatever else will be in store. And this was definitely a memorable show, to say the least. You've made up for 4 months without being here. And all I can say is, sir, Thank you so much for your time, and I'm looking forward to seeing, should you have that opportunity with Pearson at Fallout, and most certainly the penitentiary match with the incumbent Sammy Nothing, Mr. Judgment, your old foe, and Aaron Blaze or Chase Wakefield, and I don't know, whoever else will be there to take across from what you're. I'm stuttering because I know what you are going to do after you said tonight, but I certainly wish them all the best in being locked in a penitentiary match with you. But thank you as always. I will see you soon, very soon, and I'm sure Robert Pearson may rue the day that he decided to come back. And I'm looking forward to what Sammy Nothing has to say about all this. But thank you as always, my friend, and we'll see you soon. Well,
I'll definitely be back.
oh, I think you, in the words of John Wick, be seeing you real soon, Mr. Lee. We'll be seeing you very soon because Colton Lee, the Heartless Sheriff, is got plenty on his plate. He wants a match with Robert Pearson of Fallout. He is also confirmed in the Total Domination X penitentiary match for the World Extreme Championship. He will be one of those 6 participants that'll be scoring off to take that championship away from Sammy Nothing. And he has talked a lot tonight, one of his more memorable appearances here to date. We want to thank everybody here for tuning in. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally, where all music and wrestling matters. If you're here on Sportswire Radio, I'll be here tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, with Timothy Titan, LAW council member. And Omen Black is here Tuesday, his counterpart in DBW, because this is now Colton's platform when it comes to DBW shows. So Sammy Nothing, he's only going to be playing on Colton's time. And oh, I'm sure if Robert Pearson does decide to show up here, Colton Lee's going to be listening to that one, and he may just show up on his platform. So who really knows? But until then, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Hit the sub button for DBW, the sub button for us, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the number one global radio station that is Sports Radio, where all music and wrestling matters. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.